Hey everybody, my name is Jade Curtis. I am the executive editor of BlackDoctor.org and the host of BDO's newest series, The Pulse. I'm standing here with
Alyssa Bedard.
And can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Just a quick introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. I am a doula. I am a birth equity advocate in all spaces, and I am from the St. Petersburg, Florida area. It's so good to be here. So happy to have the connections and have the opportunity to share.
Yeah, we're having a great time here at the Black Health Connect conference. So, okay, you mentioned you're a doula.
Yes.
Let's talk about that
Yes.
because I feel like there's so much going on with healthcare.
Yeah.
A lot of people are leaning into doulas and midwives on top of their additional care. So, where do I want to start? Can you start off with what a doula is versus a midwife?
Yeah, absolutely. So doulas are an additional support person for the family. We serve as educational support, emotional support, a spiritual element. It's almost like having a sister alongside your pregnancy. So oftentimes, especially in the structures today, the OBGYN framework is really set up where women are going to their prenatal appointments and they're kind of shuffled around, right? They get whoever's on call. A lot of the practices have multiple providers, like 8 to 12 providers. So they just kind of shuffle through and get who they get. When you have a doula, you have consistency and you have someone who's there who gets to know you, right? I get to go to their houses and meet their families and their dogs and their other babies. And so doulas feel like a sister who's informed and who can support them emotionally and physically, not medically, but also serve as an advocate in this space when it comes to their birthing experience. So oftentimes I feel like people visualize doulas to be like these no people, and that's not it, right? We just say not yet. When there's an opportunity to make a decision around someone's birthing experience, we say, like, hold on a second, let's have all of our options, our alternatives, and a time frame in which we need to make these decisions. Whereas, the providers on site might just give one option, right? Mm-hmm. So doulas are sisters, we're advocates, and we're there to physically and emotionally support the birthing person.
Absolutely. And so I guess I'm curious, because people do tend to should I get a midwife? Should I get a doula? Do I get both?
Yeah.
And so you're saying that you can have both a midwife and a doula.
You need a midwife and a doula.
Really?
So
okay.
Midwives are medical.
Okay.
Doulas are non-medical. So doulas come in as a supportive additional person, whereas your midwife is going to be your primary care provider during your pregnancy, your prenatal journey, and your postpartum journey. So I think that a lot of the mix-up comes in the hospital setting, particularly where people are like, well, if I'm birthing in the hospital, why would I need a doula if I already have a midwife and there's nurses, right? Remembering that doulas stay the whole time, right? So your provider will be in and out. They'll come and check on you. They will be responsible for the medical care of your birthing experience, but they're not there to help put you into positions that are progressive for your labor. They're not there to rub your back. They're not there to give you more information about the decisions that need to be made.
Okay.
And they're, on shift. So if they're off at 7 a.m., they gotta go. And the doula sits, right? She sits in birth with you the whole time until your baby comes.
Nice. So if someone is looking for a doula, where do they go? How do they find you?
Absolutely. I am pretty active on my social medias. My company is Breathing Through Life. And Breathing Through Life, they can find me on all platforms. But in general, if you're looking for a doula, my advice would be to start with people that you know and ask them if they've used a doula, because word of mouth is the number one recommendation, right?
Okay.
If I served you and I served you well, somebody who you know is going to trust what you say.
Yep.
There are websites that you can go and say, like, doulas in my area, and it's like, but are they new doulas? Like, and granted, everybody needs to practice and everybody needs to get their name out there, but my advice would be to try to find a seasoned doula, someone who has really been in this space serving for a while, who can come to you with a bag full of experiences to really hold you and protect you in your birthing space. And there's a lot of community organizations that are linked with doulas as well. And so I would say getting into the birth space within your community would be a good start to find a doula.
Absolutely. I love that. And so now this leads me to wonder, how did you get into this? Like, how did you decide that this was for you? And then also, like, what drives that passion to continue to flow through you?
So I love this question. And oftentimes people ask me this because you really have to be called to be in this space, right? Somebody doesn't roll over and say, oh, like, I want to be a doula and get called to birth in the middle of the night and be gone for 15 hours and miss my daughter's birthdays and Christmas and just like all the important things in life. Because doula work is very much so on-call work. It's servant work. It's hard work. It's hard work. It's long work. And so, very long story short, I got into this work because I had a calling to support moms and babies, particularly after my own birthing experience. So I knew I wanted to work with moms and babies my whole life since I was a little girl. I thought I wanted to go into nursing. I had my daughter when I was 16, and in my own experience of being a teen parent and being shamed and neglected and underrepresented and undersupported, I look back and think, oh my gosh, where was a doula? Like, why didn't I have a doula? Who missed this for me? Right? And so that initially is why I got into birth work. And then I ended up going into public health and into maternal and child health. And I thought that I would impact policy level, right? Because I knew that women were birthing alone. Young women, Black women, women who maybe didn't have any other additional resources or support at home. They were birthing alone. And so I wanted to impact policies. And what I found is that it's not always so easy to impact the policies. On the ground, hands-on mama approaches is what makes the biggest impact and influence in that birthing space. And so that's what got me into it. What keeps me in it and what keeps my drive going is that we're still in a very serious maternal and child health crisis in the US. We know that Black women are dying 3 to 4 times more often than their white counterparts. And this is a real stat, and women are being disregarded. Women are being dismissed. They are being serviced in a way that is numerical and not personal. And people are watching and they're not doing, right? And women are being thrown into these categories and saying, you have to do this or this. And they're not given options and they're not given alternatives. And a doula is an advocate, right? And beyond advocacy, I'm a justice worker. I am here to ensure that equity is embedded into maternal and child health in every corner of this work so that we are not only protecting women and babies, but we are uplifting them in a way that gives them their own, their own experience that's not marketed or directed by somebody else, right? And so that's what keeps me on fire. The fact that there's still so much work that needs to be done.
So much. And I love that you actually mentioned some of the. So can you tell me about one of your more memorable experiences from being a doula or just your being in the space of reproductive health, reproductive justice?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've served hundreds and hundreds of families at this point, which is such a blessing and something that I am deeply honored by. And one particular unfortunate moment that comes to mind is a couple of years ago. It was actually post-COVID. I had a mama who knew internally that something was going on with her, right? She knew something was wrong. And she had tried to talk to her providers and say like, hey, I'm not feeling good. I need to come in. I need to be seen. But this was right after COVID and practitioners were trying to see people via, online and, just like conversations over the phone versus actually bringing them in. And she was dismissed by her provider a couple of times. And so as her doula, I said, listen, we need to go to the hospital. If you're really intuitively feeling like something is wrong, we need to go. And this was her 4th baby. So she knows her body, right?
Your body more than you.
Exactly.
Your first baby.
Exactly. Yeah. She knew that she was uncomfortable. She knew that something was off. And when we went to the hospital, she didn't have a heart rate for her baby. The baby had no heart rate. And this is a 39-week-old baby, so a full-term baby boy.
Yeah.
And up until the very last minute of her experience, I was there for her induction and supported her through the very end until her deceased baby boy came out into my hands because someone didn't come into the room when we asked them to come into the room, right? So all the way up until the end of her experience, she was being dismissed and not listened to. She said, I really need to push. And I remember the nurse coming in because she had all of the PPE on, and there was this barrier culturally, barrier educationally, barrier physically, barrier emotionally. There were these barriers. The woman wasn't listening. And she said, no, it's not time to push yet. I just checked you. And the mama said, no, I need to push. And the nurse left and she pushed her baby out.
Wow. By herself
with her doula. Right. And so that memory is edged into the spaces of my heart, because had she just been seen and heard and held she would have had her baby.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is why I'm a doula.
Yeah.
Right?
Obviously.
Like,
yeah. That's
these are real stories.
Yeah.
These are real people who are not being awarded the same type of care, who are not being respected in the same type of way, whose bodies are being practiced on. We just saw that with a young lady in the Atlanta area.
Yes.
And we see this over and over and over again. The history of the medicalization of Black bodies is deeply rooted in maternal and child health specifically. And doulas come in and we have that knowledge and we serve a family independently, individually, and personally with that knowledge to help just cover them. Like I always like to say, a doula is like a blanket.
Yeah.
I'm going to cover you. I'm going to keep you warm. I'm going to keep you safe. I'm going to protect you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. And so I guess when someone sees themselves in that situation, say they don't have a doula, say they don't have anyone else but their provider.
Yeah.
What are some tips that you would want to share with someone who's going through something like that?
That's a great question. Absolutely. So, I mean, the first thing is that if you're not being heard by your own provider, go to someone else. Like, find somebody else to do it. Okay? Because somebody else will do it. If you're at a practice where there's a couple of different providers, try to find somebody else.
Okay.
The second thing is that if there is truly nobody else and like you only have this one provider, I mean, you need to be exclusive. Put your hand on their shoulder. I do not feel okay. There is something wrong with me. You are not listening. I need you to hear me. This is what my body is telling me, and I need you to address my fears, my intuition, my feelings, what my body is experiencing.
Yeah.
And you can call it out. I'm feeling fear, I'm feeling doubt because of the history of Black maternal health. And by you saying this, it's only further making me feel dismissed. I need you to show up like this. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
And just call them out. I mean, you won't ever see the providers again after your birthing experience.
Right.
And you can do it in a respectful way, or you could do it in a super firm way that gives you the attention and the address that you need and that you deserve. Everyone needs that. Women deserve to be heard and listened to.
1000%. And it's so interesting to me. Out of all the interviews I'm doing today, everyone is reminding our audience, make sure that you feel heard. You should not be afraid of using your voice. I really thank you for expressing that. So I do want to ask, now that we're kind of coming to a close, if there's one thing that you wanted people to walk away with from this interview, what would it be?
That I would give the audience to walk away with?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. As a doula, the one thing I would give someone to walk away with is that you know your body more than anyone else knows your body, right? You also know, in this case, your unborn baby more than anyone else knows your unborn baby. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be held. You deserve to be heard and seen and supported in such a way that is tangible. So go out and find your team, find your support, find the people who are going to love you and who are going to carry you even when you feel like you can't maybe do it in the moment, right? Yeah.
It takes a village, like people say.
Absolutely. And just empowering people to lean into their intuition, to lean into what they know, and to seek resources, get the help. There's so many resources out there available for people that will bring them to the support that they need.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us on The Pulse. You've shared so much great information, and I hope that we can join you. You can join us again soon.
Yeah, I'd love to.